Hello Floss Tube, Dina back again. I wanted to do a quick update for you on WIPS. I wanted to share with you a fully finished object that I wasn't able to share previously because it was a present, but it has been gifted now and I can share that with you. I also am going to talk a little bit about some upcoming events that are exciting to me, and hopefully they will be to you as well. And then I thought I would do Tracy's talking tag. I'm enjoying listening to everybody do that, and I wanted to jump in there and join the group. So today, why don't we start with the fully finished object that I wasn't able to share before, since it's an oldest of the items that I want to bring about today. I had worked on a present for my sister Stephanie for her birthday, and her birthday has now come, and we have celebrated that long distance. But the item that I had made for her was a monogram quilt. These, the monograms were Jim Shore letters, and I had stitched her 2 outer letters of the monogram on 14 count Aida, and I stitched the middle letter of the monogram on 11 count Aida so that it would be slightly larger, as is appropriate for a monogram, I assume. And then after stitching these Jim Shore initials, I went to the fabric store and I matched fabric to the colors that were charted for those letters. I made a lap quilt surrounding those initials and put it together for her birthday. So I'm going to insert a picture of it now, and I'll try to give you a close-up first and then maybe back away so you can see the whole quilt. These initials were from the Jim Shore Monogram booklet by Mill Hill, even though I didn't use any beads on the lap quilt itself. Now, taking a step back, you can see the whole quilt here. The floral pattern was used as the binding at the edge of the quilt. I must say, this is the first quilt that I have made out of a cross-stitch picture, but I found it to be a pleasant way to finish it. I am pleased to report that Stephanie was thrilled with her gift. I think she has displayed it in her home. It has a very focal point in her living room where she has it on the back of her couch, leaning over so that it's displayed across her couch. So I'm excited about that. So happy birthday, sister. The next thing I'll talk about will be the other WIPs that I have in progress. So why don't we start with the one I've been pushing to finish, and I'm not there yet, but I'm getting much closer, and it's the wedding. It's a lavender and lace pattern, and I won't show you the picture again because you've been following me doing this for quite some time. But I'm going to back away here a little bit to try to let you see the picture, and then I will try to give you some close-ups of the work. But this is where we are now. While we're this far away, I won't cover the names and dates, but this is how we're coming. So you can see I've started on the white in the dress, and I've gotten all the border and the names done, so I'll cover those up here and then let you see the rest of this. But as you can see, I've started the white in the dress. So that's where I'm coming there. Just filtering all down. Doing a bit of cross-country stitching there. But that's what I have left to do. There's a tiny bit of back stitching that'll be in the faces here. Very, very small amount. And a little bit of back stitching will be around her bouquet here. But I love this. This is really pretty where it says United in Marriage. And that's all metallic. The whole border and all of the letters of United in Marriage are in metallic. But the rest is not, thank goodness. I really wasn't sure that I was going to put United in Marriage in metallic after doing the whole border. Because the border required me to do 2 threads over 2 with a metallic, and I couldn't even get it through my needle. I had to do it single strand, but stitch it twice. So every stitch I made, I had to stitch each leg of it twice so I could get the two. I decided in the words that I wasn't going to do that. And I think it looks okay. I don't think it's hard to read, do you? I'll show you the marriage part. I think that looks all right. You can certainly see it. And I've done the back stitching on the lettering already, so the only back stitching left is just those little bits that I mentioned previously. So this is slow. This is very slow progress. This white is taking forever. I've already used 2 complete skeins of white. Had to go back and get some more. And so I bought 4 more skeins, and we'll see how that carries me. But I think I'm doing pretty well on time. I had worked on this for 2 weeks straight in my rotation, and this is where I got to. So I'm thinking that I'm going to bite the bullet, and I hope it won't be too boring for you guys, but I'm going to continue on this until I finish it. I'm not going to do anything else until I finish this piece, at least the white of the dress. Then I will want to clean it. I had gridded it, and if you've noticed, the gridding is gone. I felt like I had enough of the outline of everything that now I'm just filling in solid with white. I didn't need the gridding. And but I am noticing that the gridding that I used, the Easy Guide, the red thick Easy Guide for gridding, it has left holes in my fabric. So I'm going to have to wash it before I beat it. And thank goodness this is even weave, and it's not hand dyed or anything, so I'll be able to wash it without any trouble, I think. And then I'll press it really well to get all those holes out before I do the beading of the project. But I am excited. I can see light at the end of the tunnel, and it's a beautiful piece. I really like it. I think it's turning out well. So I'm pleased with my progress on that. I'm happy with that one. Then my second WIP that I want to share with you today, you've seen when I had it as a new start, and it is Apple Harvest. This is a good picture of it right here on the front. And I'm finished 1/2 of it. It's split on 2 pages in the magazine from the Love Across Stitch there. And pardon my park thread. I just have one lone park thread there that I was working on. But I've done 1/2 of it. That's where the page break is. And you'll see I've gridded for the other 1/2. But I'm really enjoying this stitch. And I'm going to come as close as I can for you to see all those beautiful colors in there. And I had mentioned before that it used a lot of blended threads. I had shared before that I was going to tell you how many blended threads were in this. There are 4 combinations of a blended thread. So not terribly bad, but I have used them all. And I do think it makes a lovely effect. I'm really liking this piece. It's quite pretty. So those are my WIPs. Not too many of them, but considering that I'm pushing to finish on one, I'm pleased with the progress there, and I'm about to take off like a rocket. Got to tell you about that. I think I've lost my mind. Anyway, want to share with you one little thing that I purchased. This is my small haul, but I bit the bullet. Yep, I did. I went and got one of these little containers. They had them at Joann's on sale for $8.99. And I ran over there and I grabbed one. And I put my DMC collection in here. And yes, I have almost, if not a complete collection. I haven't checked to make sure I have every single color, but I believe I do. And I like this. I do have to force it closed a bit. That concerned me just a skosh, but they're tight, the way that I have them in there. But I set them up where the numbers are at the top, so I can easily read them across the top instead of turning them to the side. They fit better. for me. I don't know why, but they did. But liking this a lot. So glad I got that. And of course, that was totally enabled from those of you on FlossTube who had already gotten one. So thanks a bunch. Actually, really, thank you. I'm loving it. Okay, I want to talk to you just a few seconds about an upcoming event for me. I had mentioned before that I was going to go on a Stitcher's retreat in May, and it's only 3 weeks away at the time of this recording. So I am thrilled beyond words that I'm about to go. And that's another reason I'm trying so hard to finish my wedding piece, because I want to be able to do new things when I go there. And it's going to be important that I do. The conference starts for me on May 6th and 7th and 8th. I'm going to get there a day early. My husband and I love that area. We're going to do a little tootling around on our own the day before it starts. And then we'll be stitching Friday and Saturday. And I think my husband's going to go see maybe Obergatlinburg or some, go back to a place he's been before but would love to revisit. Rather than do anything new without me, which is very considerate. He had considered taking a nice, beautiful motorcycle ride. He's done that before there, has a lovely place that he rents from while he's in the area. And but I think he's decided for just 2 days, he'd rather just rest and maybe sightsee a little bit. And I'm looking forward to him having a little time off as well. So right before I go on the Stitcher's retreat, I have signed up for a couple of sales that I want to tell you about. They're in addition to the ones I had already signed up for, which is why I told you I think I've lost my mind. This lady that you're seeing on this FlossTube video, when I first started my first video, I was a 1 WIP at a time person, had never done more than 2. One would be my travel piece, and the other would be a big, piece at home that I didn't want to cart around with me. I then went to 4 WIPs for about a month, did them 1 week at a time until I finished a couple of them, and then, went to working on this wedding piece on a deadline. So that kind of made it a little bit harder for me to do 4 WIPs at a time, and I backed it down to 3 until I finished 1, and then I backed it down to 2. Well, that's about to all go out the window, because on May 1st, I am doing a sale with Stitch Mania called Cross Stitch Crazy. And it's of course, the starting of all the new pieces that they do once a year in May. And so on May 1st, I will start my first new start for Cross Stitch Mania. Or Cross Stitch Mania, I guess is what they call it. And I'm going to double up because I had already signed up to do a sale, and it was to do a magical May sale where you stitched on something from May 1st through the 14th. You were to stitch on something magical. And I had picked a piece I had in my stash called Firefly Fairies, and I had already kitted it up, and I had gotten a beautiful hand-dyed fabric, my first, and I have shared that with you on my in one of my previous hauls. I've gridded it now, it's ready to go, everything's good to go. So on May 1st, I will start that to hit both sales, the Magical May sale, and it will be my first start for Stitch Mania. And then on May 4th, I will, just because I've picked that date, it's not important to anyone else, but in order to get my starts that I want to do for Stitch Mania, I've picked the dates every 3 days to start something new, but I am going to limit it to 5. I'm not ready for 15 WIPs. That absolutely gives me hyperventilation. I don't know. I just can't imagine that right now. I am excited about starting these 5 because then I would probably have 6 ongoing at that time because I don't think I'll finish the apple harvest before then. So on the 4th, I've determined I'm going to start the clown that I showed you in my haul for last video, and the needlepoint for my adopted mom. So that I will start on the 4th, and I have it kitted and ready to go. Then on the 8th of May, I will start another piece that I can't share with you because it's going to be a gift, and the person that it's going to be gifted to may watch my videos on occasion, so I don't want to share it on here. But just suffice it to say, I will be starting another one on the 8th, and I'll share it with you when it's gifted. And then on the 11th, I'm going to start my Ashley's Roses. I had shared that with you from a previous haul, and it's a Nora Corbett, and I'm just thrilled to death. And I think that'll be great because I'll be working on it May, June, July time frame, and it's got the red, white, and blue in her dress, and I just think that'll fit really well. And then my last start for the Stitch Mania will start on the last day that it can, on the 15th. And it is also a gift for someone who occasionally watches my videos, so I won't share it on here until it's gifted. But it'll be another start. So that'll be my 5 new starts. And I'm very excited about that. And then I had mentioned, I think in my previous video, that I had joined Stitch Along for July 22nd, the specialty stitching sale. And I have actually bit the bullet, and I've purchased a Chstelaine to start on that. And I'm kitting the Chstelaine now. So I'm taking it slowly because I'm having trouble finding some of these beautiful silks because I don't have an LNS anywhere around me. Nowhere in the state of Georgia can I find one. Anywhere near where I am, anyway. I can find quilting shops, and I can find yarn, and maybe even some places have needle point, but I haven't found a true cross-stitch store. Now, I understand the lady who is sponsoring our retreat in Sevierville, Tennessee, is actually from Savannah, Georgia, and I've been online looking at her shop, so I will be giving her a call today to see if she has these silks that I'm looking for, and hopefully I can find the rest. I'm going to do some of the Chstelaine in silks and some in DMC. I don't have the funds right now to do the whole thing and all the specialty threads. So I'm kind of picking and choosing which ones that I'm using. If it's a small grouping, I'm trying to get those in silk. If it only calls for 1 or 2 colors of that brand, just so I can try them. And then the rest I've substituted out. I also looked for the beads, and there's a wonderful floss tuber who has done a comparison of the original beads that it's charted for versus the substitute beads from Mill Hill. And she's shown the differences in that. So I really went online and tried to get the original beads, and I could not find a vendor that had all of them. And I wasn't going to mix them, you know, because they're different sizes. So just slightly different, but I didn't want to mix them up. So if I couldn't find them all, then I wasn't going to buy them all. And I couldn't find them all on any of the stores I found them. So I will be using the Mill Hill beads out of necessity for that, but I still think it's going to be beautiful. And I am a little nervous about it. It'll be my first Chstelaine, and it'll be the first time I've done any heavy work in specialty stitches. And that's coming up in July. So I have an exciting summer. I am thrilled. I can't wait to get all these starts going. I've even looked at the calendar and figured out a new rotation. If I have 6 things still going, if I haven't had a chance to finish the apples, which I don't think I will, then I will have to switch every 6 days in order to touch each thing every month. So I think that'll work. It's not much less than what I'm stitching now as far as days for each piece. So hopefully I can still see a lot of progress on each one. So I'm excited about that. Okay, so the last thing I have today is going to be a very short video, but I'm going to do the Tracy talking tag. And as you know, I am from Georgia, so this will be a Southern belle. This will be your Southern accent for you for sure. Okay, I'll read the words first, and then I'll answer the questions as she requested. And I'll be looking at the words, so pardon me for looking down, but I couldn't memorize them all, so here we go. ant, route, wash, oil, theater, iron, salmon, caramel, fire, water, sure, data, ruin, crayon, toilet, New Orleans, pecan, both, again, probably, spitting image, Alabama, lawyer, coupon, mayonnaise, syrup, pajamas, caught. Now I'm going to tell you something about the word pecan and pecan. A lot of people here call it pecan. A lot of people here call it pecan. The joke is a pecan is something you pee in. Isn't that awful? So I try to say pecan, but I don't always do it. Anyway, moving along, here are the questions. What is it called when you throw toilet paper on a house? TPing. What is the bug that when you touch it, it curls into a ball? Roly-poly is the only name I've ever heard it by. I didn't even know what a potato bug was. I've heard some of you call it that, but we've always called them roly-polies. What is the bubbly carbonated drink called? Well, as you've heard some Southerners tell you, it's called Coke. And that is very confusing to people who move here from other parts of the country. But we say we want a Coke, and the very next question is, what kind? So it could be anything. But in Georgia, where the Coca-Cola factory is and the Coca-Cola museum is, Coke has become the name for what a lot of people call pop and soda. What do you call gym shoes? We call them tennis shoes. What do you say to address a group of people? Hey, you all. What do you call the kind of spider that has an oval-shaped body and extremely long legs? I've heard it called granddaddy long legs, but everyone I've heard on the floss tube is calling it daddy long legs. But as I was a child, we called it granddaddy long legs. What do you call your grandparents? I'm unfortunate in that I never knew my grandparents. I'm a late life baby, and my grandparents were deceased before I can remember them. My mom told me the story that my father's father was a farmer, and every time I saw him as a child, he had on blue overalls. And I actually called him Blue Granddaddy because he wore blue overalls all the time. But that's all just from what she's told me. I don't remember him at all. Let's see. What do you call the wheel contraption in which you carry groceries at the supermarket? We call it a cart, a grocery cart, or a buggy. What do you call when it rains while the sun is shining? We've always called that liquid sunshine. What is the thing you change the TV channel with? The remote control, or the TV remote. Tracy, that's a fun tag. I'm really enjoying listening to everybody and their stories about how they pronounce different words and how different it is in the different countries or different areas of the world. I also got a real chuckle out of one of the floss tubers who was confused as to why you would toilet paper anybody's yard or home. And I think one of the floss tubers has explained that very well about the fact that you would find that someone who was a mean neighbor or someone who had angered you, the teenagers would TP their yard. I do also know that the cheerleaders would TP yards of football players to honor them or to let them know they were wishing them well in the game, which was a more positive spin on that. My son was a football player, and I lived in fear that we were going to have our yard TP'd. Fortunately, his school didn't allow the cheerleaders to do that. Instead, they brought them a whole box of goodies and candies and things like that on football days. Game days, and so we were spared that. Thank goodness. But there were houses in our neighborhood as I was growing up that were TP'd a couple of times, and it fits the mold. It was the neighbors who wouldn't let the kids play in their yard when we played hide and seek, or they would yell at people if they rode their bike across their grass or something like that. And the kids would get back at them and watch them clean up that toilet paper. And it is true, it is much harder to get out of the trees, and that's where people would throw it, usually, was all over the trees and the bushes. And the worst thing of all is if it rains before you can get it up, because then, you know, you can imagine it just disintegrates and falls apart and gets stuck on every little leaf and branch, and it's a mess. It truly is a mess. It's not one of our finer moments here. Anyway, so that is all I have to share with you today. I'm just busy stitching and starting to plan for my retreat. We are having 2 giveaways if you want to participate at the retreat, and one is a mystery box and the other is the scissor fob. So I do want to thank everyone who voted. I won't reveal which fob won yet, because in case anybody that's coming to the retreat might see this, I don't want them to know which one they're going to get. But after the retreat, I'll reveal which one was chosen and which one was given, and hopefully be able to share that it was liked. That's my hope. I also want you to know that some of the votes were very close. So I loved everyone's comments telling me why you liked the one you did and what about it attracted your attention. So that was very helpful for me. If I decide to make any more as gifts, I can keep all of that in mind. So thanks again. I hope you have a great stitchy day. And until next time, I'll be stitching along with you and watching you on FlossTube. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.